All right, so I want to make a simple tutorial, and this is going to be your first lesson slash test. I'm going to set up for you. I sent you a link for a sample table. This is it right here. Once you have it on your desktop, right click on it, and then we select Edit. That will take you here, all right, into the editor. I know there's two different ways of doing it. You could either double click the table, but then it loads the table, then you have to press Q, then quit to editor. But when you do this, you can't pre-visualize or see the demonstration of textures on your table. So if you went to on the upper part where it says table and then go down to image manager, all the images in here should have a demo here, but as you can tell, it's a big black X because you're not in the editor properly. So whenever you are working on a table, you always want to right click on it and select edit. Okay, so now you're in the example table, and as you can see now, I see the wood grain on the playfield, and if I go to table, image manager, now you can see all these images on the preview panel on the right here. See? So now you know it's working. Our lesson for today will be just one button. I want to teach you the ramp button right here. If you click on it and then you press it anywhere onto the table, it will place a ramp. Now you can modify this ramp very easily by just dragging the dots. There's a blue dot and a red dot. And always remember this: blue's for bottom, red is for the head, meaning above, the higher point of the ramp. All right. And when you click on an element, any element that you're working with will have options on the right hand side over here to modify it. So we're going to scroll down and see that where it says position, top height is set to 50. So that's 50 VPU units high off the playfield. That will be the top end, the head part of it. And the bottom is at 0, 0 being the level of the playfield. So just to show you what it looks like right now, it has no textures, nothing. That's what it looks like right now. It's just a basic ramp. But that's just straight, and nobody uses a straight ramp like this, and that's very narrow. So what we can do is when you click on the element, the second set of options here is your top width and your bottom width. So we're going to start with 120 at the bottom, make it really extra wide here, and we'll leave 60 now. I'll put it 80. I'm going to make a complicated one for the first ones, and I want you to mimic. I don't want you to make this ramp, but at the end of this tutorial, I want you to create your own ramp and send me a picture of what you've got or a short video of you shooting the ramp and the ball returning, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to create a ball ramp with a return wire set that feeds to either flipper. This is the tutorial we're doing today. So this ramp has the right thickness, and I'm just going to place it in front of the right flipper down here, because we're going to make it easy access to the right flipper. And one thing you should know about ramp making is you can right click on them, and the very first option that in the menu here is add point. And every time you add a point, it adds a point that you could drag and manipulate to shape your ramp. All right. So let's say we want this ramp to curve a little bit upwards like this. So now we're gonna have it over here. So this goes from 0 to 50 at this top point. But we want it to turn around after that, but we want it to stop elevating because we don't want the ball to struggle going up and around. So now we have to add a second ramp right here. And this ramp, the top width of the first ramp is set as 80. So the bottom of this width of the ramp should be 80 to match. And then the top height of the first ramp is 50. So the bottom height on this one should be 50 as well. So bottom height, 50. And top height, we can leave it 50 as well. So now it'll be a flat ramp. So it's going to go even. It doesn't have no hills. So now we just have to line it up with the dots. And the best way to do that is hold your control button on your keyboard and then use your mouse wheel to zoom in. All right, so we're going to zoom in. And from here, we try to line it up the best we can. We're going to add a dot, add a point, I should say, add point. Add another point. We're going to keep adding a few points along this new ramp because we're going to manipulate this ramp to turn around. Oh, to have a turnaround point anyways. And every time you see these weird shapes happening, that means it's an impossible shape. You want it to be round. You don't want any sharp edges on your ramp. Now, if you can see when it's zoomed in here, that it's in an angle right now. So all I have to do is click on this dot, and I can use my arrow keys on my keyboard to move that dot one increment at a time till it is lined up to where I want it. Even click on the dot, move that dot, click that dot. You just make micro adjustments till there's no more lines separating them. Okay, so now we're almost done. I want this to turn even more, so we're going to add another dot there. So now this ramp is ready to come back home. At this point, we're going to convert flat ramps into wire ramps. Now it's the exact same button. So you're going to click ramp again, add it. Now remember, your bottom is blue, red is head. So you want the head to come back to the in lane on your flipper. Yeah, we'll make it come to the left flipper here. That's fine. And then this one always to the top here. But if you click on the ramp and you scroll all the way to the top of the options on the right here, the first drop down menu says flat. This is where you select what kind of ramp. You can have a 2-wire ramp. You could have a 3-wire ramp or 4-wire ramp. But these 3 wires and 4-wire ramps are very square. I'll show you what I mean. Let's just load a 4-wire one. See, they're on top of each other like that. It doesn't look normal. What you want to do to make a cool looking ramp is select 2 wires. You always start with 2 wires. And I'll explain in a little bit. So you want the blue part here, which is the bottom, to be the same height as where your second ramp ends, which is 50. So this ramp, we want it to be bottom height 50, top height 50. So it goes 50 all the way. And 50 is the exact height of a ball. Come to think of it, that might be too tight, because if it's 50 exact, the ball can get jammed up underneath the ramp. So we're going to change all of these settings to 65. Okay, so 0 to 65 for the first ramp. So instead of going up to 50, it goes up to 65. Then the second ramp is going to be 65 bottom height and 65 top height. Oh, and by the way, I set the top width of the second one. I left it at 60. 60 is where you want most ramps to end. That's the thickness you want. 50 is too tight. It's going to get a ball jam. Anything bigger will have the ball fall on either side of the wire mesh. So 60 is like it's going to guide the ball onto the wires. So that's where you want to go. That's the golden number. All right, so remember that. So I'm adding a point just so I can shape this wire a little bit more. And we want to make it the dots align. So if that blue dot is outside the red dot, it's not good. It's a little bit off. Okay, now they're pretty good here. So I need to align this so it looks there more dead on. There, now it's perfect. Okay, so now I can adjust other dots down here. Let's say I want it to be straight here. Okay. So now we have this done. Let's show you what it looks like. I know it doesn't look like much right now. Oh, shit, I forgot that this height is now 65 and 65 there. So now the wires are leading to it. So if you press 5 to enter a coin, press start with number 1 key on the keyboard. You can launch the ball. Press D on your keyboard to open the debugger. And in the debugger, you can use a check mark that says ball control. You put a check mark in there, and now you can use your mouse to make the ball go anywhere. Okay? And I leave it there just in case I need to bring the ball back. So hitting that ramp to show you that it works. It's the first thing you want to do when you're creating a ramp is make sure it's possible that the shot feels the way you want it to. Otherwise, you want to make your adjustments, your physical adjustments, before you start making the visual adjustments. Because otherwise, you're just going to be doubling down on work. So, hold on. Come on, I can make that ramp. It's so wide there. Boom. There, so we can make that ramp go. I can probably backhand it. Ah, there we go. So we know this ramp is working. Now let's make it look good. And this is where it gets a little iffy. And we don't want to get anything too mixed up right now. So what we're going to do is click on an item, then hold Shift key on your keyboard to select more than one item. And then you can click on the next item and the next. So you highlighted all 3. Then right click and choose lock. Do you see lock at the bottom here? Once you select locked, you will no longer be able to move these objects accidentally. And it happens. If you don't lock your item, it will move by accident. Sometimes you don't realize that you're moving more than one object at a time. And it's a pain in the ass. Another thing you want to get in practice of doing is saving your progress. I'm going to go File, Save. There you go. So now I saved the progress. So if I close this project and I start again, I'm back where I left off. So now to make this look good, we're going to select the first 2 flat ramps. And on the right-hand side where it says Material, we're going to press M to go down to Metal. And you can choose any one of these metals. I prefer just the regular metal. And in this drop-down menu, you can either choose Wrap or World. What world means is that the entire play field is that texture, and the ramp is going to contort to wherever you are on that ramp, on that play field. So the lighting looks better with world. It really does. But if you're using a texture, and I'll show you that much later, you would want to use wrap because you want to wrap the texture around the ramp. So the same thing goes for the wires over here. We're going to go ahead, leave it at world, and press M to go to material and go to metal. See, where it says image on both of these sets of ramps, you leave it blank. You don't want anything there because we're not putting textures on them right now. I'll show you what it looks like with just metal. See, it already changed quite a bit. So now, to make it even nicer looking, first let's load in the table. Let's analyze this ramp. What doesn't look right about this ramp? Well, the walls on each side of the ramp look paper thin. They might not be tall enough, or they might be too short, depending how you want them. And of course, only 2 wires for a return ramp, that doesn't look right. You need the D wires at the end where the ball falls in, and the support wires on either side. We're going to add that in next. Okay, so first thing is you're going to click on this first ramp. You're going to right click, unlock it just for now, and press Control C on your keyboard to make a copy. Then lock it again. Then Control V to make a clone. Now that you have this clone, on the right hand side, you're going to go where it says flat, 1 wire. Change it to 1 wire, just like that. And then we need to click where it says physics, the physics tab up here. And we want this ramp to be non-collidable. So remove this check mark where it says collidable. By removing this, that means the ball can go right through this wire. It's like it's not even there. It's just there for aesthetics. Now you can go back to the visuals tab, and if you wanted to, you could make this wire thicker by the diameter here. I could go 20 if I wanted to be really wide, but I really don't suggest going higher than 8. Stick to 8, maybe 6 even, depending on how you want it. So now this wire, I'm going to put it along the edge of the wall on the side here. I'm just going to leave it off for now just so you can see what it looks like, what we're working with. See, that wire is going to give the illusion of the thickness of the walls on the ramp. Now, first thing we've got to decide on these ramps is how tall you want those walls. So again, on the right hand side where you see the options, where it says visible wall, you have your left wall and your right wall. You can adjust the visible wall on there. And the reason it says visible wall is because you can go to the physics tab and then you have the physical wall. You could have a wall that's only 20 VPUs high, but visually, but invisibly have one that's 100 high to prevent the ball from jumping over. That's the caveat. So we're going to put them 40 high for this example. So left wall and right wall, we want it 40. And the physics, we can leave it at the default of 62 as it is. Do the same thing for the next flat ramp. So where it says visuals, go 40, 40. Feel free to pause the video, take a break, do one step at a time. There's no rush. This is not a long tutorial. It might be a long video, but there's not that many steps. It's just a little practice is all. Now, the first ramp we have of a wire, a single wire here, is a clone of the first ramp here. But it's going on top of one of the side walls, so you have to adjust the bottom height and the top height. And since we decided the walls are going to be 40 high, that means we have to add 40 to both these numbers. So bottom height is 0 right now. 0 plus 40 is 40. Top height, 65, plus 40 is 105. So now we got our first wire here, and we know that it's non-collidable. And did I put it? Yeah, it's non-collidable. So I'm just going to make a clone of that by Control C, Control V, and now I have one for that side. Now all you have to do, zoom in a little bit, and then you drag these dots so the middle line, there's a line in the middle of this wire. You want it to line up with the side of this ramp. So you just line them all up, and it should match pretty perfectly. There we go. Like this. Take your time to adjust. If you have to go and readjust them, don't be afraid to do that. It's a patience game. So you can go at this one, then move one dot here to there, and this dot here. All right. Let's see what this has done before we continue. So maybe you'll understand. Now, do you see what it looks like? Now the ramp looks more 3D. It looks like a 3D model ramp now. So that's the first step done. Now we're going to go and do the same thing with this upper ramp. So we're going to unlock it. Control C, lock it again. Control V. And now we have to transform it into a one-wire ramp. So on the type, the drop-down menu, you want to select one wire. Now we have to adjust for the height of the walls. So now the bottom height is 65 and the top height is 65. But we know those side walls are 40 VPUs higher. So again, we add 40. So 105 and 105 for bottom and top. So now this one will sit there. So, but we remember, we don't want this to actually interact with the ball. So we go to the physics and remove the collidable. There's a little check mark. You got to make sure that's removed. At this point, I can drag this round circle here, that one there, and you just right to the edge of these lines. Every one of these ramps, when you add a point, it creates a perfect little line, and these dots line up with all those lines. So, and if you need to zoom in, we'll zoom in, make everything nice and tidy, nice and clean. Yes. Lemon pledge. Don't know why I said that. Anyways, so once you have these in, I should have cloned it before molding it, but that's fine. And you just make sure these are lined up together with the first set of wires, like that. There we go, and Control V. Do it again. It's a one wire ramp. Physics, turn it off. And the visuals, 105, 105. See, I don't have to change the material or the world where it says here on any of these because I cloned it from one that I've already selected the material and that. So that's what's nice about using clones of your items. It speeds up the process. Okay, so all you have to do is the opposite of the other side. The dots, you just drag it to the other side of these lines. Make sure the lines all line up. That's all it is. It's just like connect the dots, basically. All right. Now we got it. So now these wires, I'm going to select them all and lock them because I know they're good now. So I'm going to click on one, then hold shift on my keyboard again, and then start selecting the rest. Right click and lock. Now let's see what it looks like. Ta-da, look at how nice that's already shaping up to look a lot better. But now those return wires, that's kind of sucking, right? It's a little hard to look at because it's just two wires. It's fine, two wires. There's ramps that are made two wires. I'm just going to show you the easy way of doing it for now, and we'll get more and more complicated as we progress in ramp tutorials. I think they're going to make 2 different ramp tutorials, or maybe 3. But first, we'll just make a basic one like this. So we unlock it, Control C, lock it again, Control V, and it's almost the same process. You want to select one wire, and you don't have to change the metal or the world, but you do have to change the height to match the sidewalls of the previous ramps. So 105, 105. And again, the physics, you do not need them to be collidable because what happens is that this 2-wire set of ramps has already physical walls 62 high on both sides. So the ball can't fall. And adding a 1-wire ramp if it's a little micro too close to the middle, it'll affect the ball too much, slow it down, and you don't want it to be physical. Trust me. Leave it like this. So we know that it's non-physical. It's the right height now. It's the right material. So before we move it, Control C, and we made a copy of it. So now if I press Control V, I can have a second one, but we're going to wait till we move this one. All you have to do is move the dots out of the way. But here there's no lines. So you have to click on the ramp you're looking at and make sure they're pretty close to each other. So when you're dragging them out, there we go. And you want to leave, you got to eyeball it a little bit, and then you come back and fix it. So like this. If it's a little too far away or too close. One thing to note is that I don't completely understand why the line on these 1-wire is not completely in the middle. You see there's a thinner side and a thicker side, and that is intentional. The reason why behind it, I'm not exactly sure, but I for sure know that the thick side means that the middle is further away from these 2 ramps in the middle. So got to keep that in mind. And you'll see why in an instant. So that's all the way down, and we stop where that one stops. Now we can go Control V, and there's our second wire, and we move it to the opposite side. So this one, remember, it's not the outside of the wire that you're trying to distance from the middle set. It's the middle line. So I'm looking at the middle line, the distance I set there, and it's about here, I would say. And that's what we're using to measure. It's trying to keep it the same as on the other side, which is about here, there, and there. So it looks like it's further away than this one, but it's that center line to the outside line. That distance is what we are measuring here. It does an optical illusion. I hate it, but just something you gotta work around. Okay, so drag that to that, and this out here. Boom. And look at that. We have it. So if you press play now you have those return wires that we're more used to. But we still need to put the rings at the end. Now, the rings are going to be non-physical. I'll explain why after. We're just going to put them on. Before we do, hold Shift, select both of these, and lock. We don't need to change them anymore. And let's save our progress, because you never know when the editor can crash at times. And if you didn't save your progress, you will fucking curse and swear, and you'll get angry and frustrated. So save your progress. All right, when you're happy with a change you've made, save it. So now we're going to start a new ramp, completely new ramp, put it on the table, then select one wire. Then we're going to have to choose the material to be metal to match the rest. So metal, M for metal, and leave it at world. And then the bottom height has to match the bottom height of where it's connecting, which is 65 on both sides. So 65 to 65. All right. Now we're going to make another one like this. Control C, Control V. Now this one's going to be taller because it's going to connect the outside ones here. So that one has to be 105. Also 105. Oh, I'm going to select both of these ramps because I forgot to turn off the physics. You don't want it to be collidable. Okay, so now the first one, that's no, the second one. That's the tall one. That's 105. Yeah. This one we're going to start shaping to connect around here. So we're going to go. Remember, you want to connect the center lines to the wires and not the thickness. If I match the outside like this, it's not going to line up. It's like counterintuitive, and I hate it. I know. And we're going to add some points. The more points, the easier it is to navigate in the editor. Let me see on the right-hand side on the bottom here. These are check marks. They're all check marked right now. If I go and select this, it removes everything. So you can select what items you're seeing. If you remove the check mark where it says GI lighting, that'll remove those. You can get that out of the way. Rubbers and posts, you can remove that. We can move lights. Wait, where did my ramp go? Oh, ramp was in GI lighting. Okay, well, here's another part of the lesson. Is how to create a new layer over here, which is quite easy. You want to press the plus symbol where it says add new layer. When you hover over it, it says add new layer. So click on that. Click on your new layer, then press F2 to give it a name. We're going to call it ramps. Just like that. Now we're going to select all our new elements that make up the ramp, which is even the ones that are not placed right yet. You want to select every single thing. So hold your shift key and just click through every item one at a time. Then right click, then assign to layer. And then you can go and choose ramps, which is the one we just created. So now it's going to be on its own layer. So I can go and remove all that's visible here and click just a check mark where it says ramp. So now we only see that. So we can work with this. All right, so connect this at the end here, add another point. And we want the center lines to line up perfectly. Like that. All right, that's almost perfect. Not great, but I don't want to take too long. You can take as long as you want to make them look good, and I recommend that you do. Okay, so this is the top wire. And I'll show you, it seems off on this side because the middle line is lined up. Watch, when you look at it, see, it's perfect. It's perfect right there. So now we just need to do the bottom ring. Bottom ring's a little harder, but it's the same principle. So you go line up the middle line. Actually, it doesn't really matter. You don't need to line up the middle line, but you know what? I'm just going to delete that wire completely. I'm just going to clone this one. Control C, lock it, Control V. And now that I have a clone of it, I'm just going to lower the height to 65, 65. So now the D shape at the bottom is already made. So now we just have to do is add a point here, add a point on the other side. Oh. And then we're going to bring these endpoints to the middle here. And this is a little touch and go. You're going to have to see how it looks and then come back and adjust it, because it's there's no really easy way of telling if they're lined up properly or not. But let's try this. See, now the one on the left-hand side is sticking in too far. So this one should be more like here, I think. Let's see. Let's see what that looks like. Almost. Still a little too much. I'm going to add another point here to round it up a little bit more. Okay, try to do the same thing on the other side. That one was sticking out a little bit. Let's see. There we go. So now let's try the ramp. See what the ball looks like going down the ramp. See if we're satisfied. This is our first ramp. Boom. There you go. See, it's perfect. It's a good looking ramp. It's basic. We're not done yet. Almost done though. Select these. Click lock. Oh, if you do that and you had one item locked, one item unlocked, it'll always choose to unlock. So then you have to lock it again. So these are locked. We're going to save it. Now, the only thing missing is support wires going down. And this is also pretty easy. All you have to do is select a new ramp. One wire, once again. The material is metal, once again, and we're going to leave it on world. And click the physics tab, remove the collidable, then come back to the visual tab. At this point, we want it to match the height of this ramp. But here, this ramp is 65 from the bottom all the way to the top. It never changes height, so this is pretty easy. So I want this ramp to be 65 at both ends as well. 65 to 65. And then you just drag a dot across like this. And I like to let it stick out from the sides a little bit, just to say just a little bit like that. It depends on how you want it to look. You can make it line up perfectly so it tucks into the wire. I think I like them to stick out just a little bit. And remember, it's the middle of the line in the wire that tells you where it is. So if it's a little bit, it's lined up on the fat end but sticking out on the thin end, then you're on the right path. Now, once you have the points where you want them, then we're going to add two more dots. And you want to add them as close as you can to the outside edge of the middle two-wire ramp, like this. There you go. So now we got extra points there. So now we're going to go and click on these points at the very end of each side. And I'm going to shift click so I got both of them. And now on the right-hand side, what you can edit is a height offset. And I'm going to put 40. So now they're going to curve up on those sides. So the two bottom dots that are red are going to be 65 high, but then it's going to go up to 105 on both sides. I'll show you what that looks like. Boom. So we got our first support wire right there. So now we're going to make clones of that. Control C. I'm going to go ahead and lock that. Control V. Bring it down. I don't know how many you want to put, but if you want to, you can also right click and select rotate. And then you can rotate it either clockwise or counterclockwise. So if it's clockwise, it's a positive number. Counterclockwise is a negative number. So we're going to go -10. See, that's pretty good. Boom. Got one there. Control V again. We got another one. Going to want closer to the end over here. There. That's fine. All right, so let's look at what that looks like now. Boom, look at how beautiful that looks. Looks professional. So now you have a really nice looking ramp. Very simple. So this is all I want you to do for your first tutorial. I want you to make a ramp that looks similar to this. I'm going to show you different techniques of making ramps later on. This is just going to be the first part, and I sent you the sample table. Don't worry about anything else about this table for now. Go ahead and play around with it. Try to make your own unique ramp. It doesn't have to look like this. You can if you want to. If it's just for practice reasons, go ahead. But feel free to go wild and create a ramp. You can have a ramp with as many sections as you want. I'll show you how to get, I'll make a one with a wire ramp that twirls on the next one. Also, I'll show you how to make a ramp that looks like it's made of plastic with the bathtub edge type looking thing. Anyways, hope this helps. Okay, send me a picture of the ramp you've created in a short video of the ball working on it. When I see that you mastered video 1, I'll send you video 2.